the continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Conley as Norman Harrington.
Leslie Harrington has returned to Peyton Place. He has returned to stand by his son Rodney during the ordeal of arraignment and pre-trial, and possibly trial itself on a charge of murder. The facts of Harrington's past must not be a burden to him now, for Harrington has tried to convince himself the failures are behind him. If there are any left with stones, let them throw the stones. Leslie Harrington has returned, and Peyton Place must react to him.
Send him in. Hello, Ted. We finally have time to talk. Good to see you back. Sorry it had to be under such circumstances. We've got to move for appeal on bail, Ted. It's ridiculous that the boy should have to spend another night in jail. My request for bail has already been denied. So was mine. That doesn't mean we have to take no for an answer. I suppose you went directly to Judge Weber. I might have convinced him if Fowler hadn't barged in. Don't try and throw your weight around. Not in this case. That's an odd remark. If I had any influence at all, I'd certainly use it now more than any other time in my life. As long as I've known you, Leslie, I can't imagine any more difficult role than the one you're going to have to play during this trial. I've never been afraid of a good fight. If you want to help your son, you'll keep as far in the background as you know how. In the name of heaven, will I ever be rid of my past? Well, let's not try to have it blow up in Rodney's face. The only way you can help him is by not calling attention to yourself. Don't try to make any deals. And don't fling the Harrington name in their faces. Meanwhile, my son's behind bars. They wouldn't have locked him up unless they felt they had some pretty strong evidence. I suggest you hire the best criminal lawyer you can find. I have confidence in you, Ted. It's been a long time since I practiced law. Get in touch with either of these two men, or I will if you like, but I wouldn't delay it. You are worried, aren't you? It's going to cost you a king's ransom. I don't care about the money. It's the idea of bringing in strangers. I'm not sure it's the right move. Oh, I think it is. When the jury's going to be composed of local people? No, that bothers me, Ted. They're going to feel hostile to outsiders. What's going to go through the minds of those 12 jurors, those 12 people in Peyton Place, when we parade in some famous lawyer from the big city? Aren't they going to be asking themselves what we're so afraid of? Aren't we admitting that we think we're in a lot of trouble? No, I think we'd be much smarter if the man who stands in front of that jury is one familiar to them, one they know and can trust. We'd be better off with you, Ted. Oh, I disagree. You're in? Leslie, give it some thought, won't you? All right, then level with me. You have personal reasons for not wanting to handle this case, don't you? What are you talking about? Maybe you see some conflict of interest here. Exactly what does that mean? I read in the Clarion that you're representing Martin Peyton's interest here in town. I've already explained to Matt Swain. There's no conflict of interest since you're no longer connected with the mill. Is it possible you prefer another lawyer represent Rodney because you don't want to run the risk of losing Martin Peyton's account?
Hello, Mr. Harrington. You see, even people who live under the same roof with me don't recognize me. Stephen Cord.
Stephen, for heaven's sakes, how are you?
Nicely grown, thank you.
And how's your mother?
Still working for Mr. Peyton.
And you? What are you up to?
Same thing, working for Mr. Peyton, by way of Mr. Dow.
Mr. Cord is my associate. I see. What took him so long?
Oh,
That man that just left?
we just bought a pack of cigarettes.
I thought he was going to buy the whole store. I wanted to wait till you were alone.
Well, I'm alone.
You know, I had a million things to say to you, and now I can't remember one.
Well, do you want a cup of coffee?
No. You know something?
What?
There are no walls out there. No walls on the square. Doors that open and let you out.
Norm, don't.
They locked him up. No bail, nothing. That dangerous desperado, Rodney Harrington. Now the streets are safe for the decent folk. You know, I want to grab the papers right out of Judge Weber's hands and say it was me. Me, you got the wrong guy.
You didn't do anything.
Have you ever heard of guilt by wishful thinking?
No.
Well, it's a new legal term I just made up. I wished him dead. It's as real as if I took that gaffer hook and threw it myself.
Would you please stop it? Look, you're not helping yourself or Rodney. Can't your father do anything?
How'd you know he was in town?
Oh, well, some people came in who'd seen him. I guess he was walking on the square.
Lots of people come in here, don't they? And say lots of things about him.
Please, Norman.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be taking it out on you.
How'd he look?
Great. European sun. Fresh air.
That isn't what I meant. How'd he look to you?
I was never so glad to see anyone my whole life. You know, it took a lot for him to take that walk today. I remember that whole ugly business about Mother. I said to myself, Norm, you can keep yourself locked up in this room forever. Or you can go to the Five and Dime and buy yourself a Halloween mask. But they'd know you're hiding underneath it. I hated Rod. I hated my father. Because they seemed so above it, like it never even happened to them. They didn't have any trouble walking around. But I forgot. They had the same problems I have. You know, I did a lot of funny things. I even went back to the old house, and Mrs. Schuster thought I was trying to break in. But the joke was I was trying to break out of my skin, my Harrington skin that made me feel different than anyone else. Now my father's back, and we're going to be a family again.
I'm glad.
I want my father to meet you.
Me?
I want him to meet my new girlfriend.
Maybe we better wait.
There's no backing out now. You hear?
Michael. It's only our board of directors. You look like you're about to face a firing squad.
Any chances of them turning us down?
There's always a chance, of course. And if they do, then what will you do?
Well, we're late, aren't I'm sorry we're late, gentlemen. It's an occupational hazard.
Have a seat, Dr. Rossi. Dr. Morton.
Thank you.
How's Mrs. Wilkerson?
Coming along fine.
Well, gentlemen, shall we begin? Doctor, we've all read your proposal. I find it very interesting. Basically, you need Kenneth Markham's $10,000 to initiate your research project, and about $10,000 more from our reserve.
That's right.
As a start?
As a start, yes.
Frankly, Doctor, there are any number of things we need more than a research laboratory.
Michael, you'll have to understand Mr. Thackeray's viewpoint. You know how long we've waited to enlarge our surgical facilities. You've talked about the limitations of the ward yourself.
Yes, it's true. We could use more space. So could every hospital.
But you'd use the money in a way that would be of no immediate benefit to the citizens of Peyton Place.
Well, that's one way to put it, Mr. Thackeray.
Don't you think this is really more the province of the large university or municipal hospital?
Treatment and prevention are the cornerstones of the medical profession, gentlemen. I'm asking you to consider that there's room here for both at Peyton Place.
Let's look at the purely medical values for a minute, Doctor. You want a laboratory in hematology. Aren't there already a lot of doctors doing research in blood disease?
Yes, hundreds all over the world.
Then why should we get into it?
Because we can. Our contribution may indeed be small. It may only eliminate some of the wrong answers. However, when the right answers are found, we will have had a part in it.
You make quite a case for it, Doctor. I didn't know it meant so much to you.
Now, you all know that Dr. Rossi worked extensively in hematology with Dr. Seitler in New York before he came to Peyton Place.
But he came, presumably to practice general medicine in a small town. Then a famous medical figure pays us a visit, a man well publicized for his professional dedication and...
You're right, Dr. Hoyt. Vincent Markham had an effect on me. He made me take the blinders off. Blinders I'd been wearing for some time. He made me ask myself if I were doing all I can. If I'm giving everything I have to offer. Well, I don't think I am, gentlemen. I think there is more.
Dr. Rossi, this isn't a courtroom, and we certainly didn't mean to make you feel as though you were on trial.
Well, perhaps it wasn't very tactful of me, but...
Gentlemen, maybe we're being too tactful. I mean, let's stop fencing. I am on trial here. You're accusing me of using Doctor's Hospital as a stepping stone to some kind of immortality.
Michael.
If I may finish, please. Gentlemen, I am not in the business of immortality. I am simply concerned with human life, and I believe we all are.
Michael, if I may. When Dr. Rossi came to Peyton Place, I was the first to brand him as a hot-headed young egotist. He couldn't have left town soon enough to suit me. But I'm glad he stayed.
Bob, we were all in agreement as to Dr. Rossi's contribution. We wouldn't be holding this meeting otherwise.
Are we? Or are we glossing over the fact that if Dr. Rossi had elected to, he could have made his request a mandate? Kenneth Markham turned over the money to him personally to use as he saw fit. Now, let me pose a question, gentlemen. How can we expect men of Dr. Rossi's caliber to come to Peyton Place? And more importantly, to remain here if we do not honor the vision of their generation? We can build new surgical wards until doomsday. But what good are they if we cannot attract vigorous, gifted young men with the skill and dedication to make these facilities something more than gleaming white machines? Gentlemen, as chief of staff of this hospital, I recommend that this board give Dr. Rossi his funds.
Well, if you'll excuse me, gentlemen, I'm due in surgery in half an hour.
Dr. Rossi, one more question. If we don't grant you your research laboratory, would you leave Doctor's Hospital?
Well, I don't know.